Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel, and I almost feel like saying welcome back to myself because it's been a little while since I've posted. I want to say thank you all for the continued support while I haven't been uploading. It really is appreciated, and hopefully over the next couple of weeks I will be back sharing regular content again. Things are a bit up and down at the moment with all the commitments that I've got, so I'm just trying to post when I've got the time. So today what I thought I'd do is share 4 things about the SP404-MK2 which I absolutely couldn't live without now. So in this video I'm kind of looking back at the SX and the A and sort of thinking about the new features that have come with the Mark II and understanding which ones now I absolutely have to have in order to be happy making beats. So obviously we got a lot of updates when the Mark II came out, and I think these 4 in particular are just features that I just definitely cannot make beats without now. So the first one has to be mute groups. Mute groups completely changed the game for SP users. We didn't have them on the SX and A the previous generation, so for those to come along was a huge boost for us for making beats, and it just makes the whole chopping, sampling process, beat making process that much easier. And if you're not aware of what this feature is, essentially in mute groups here, Shift and 8, you can add up to 16 pads which automatically cancel each other out. So for example here I've got 1 and 2, and you can hear that as soon as I press 2, 1 is cancelled and 2 will play, and that's the same for every single pad in the group. So 2 and 12, you can hear that they all cancel each other out. This makes chopping playback much smoother, much more intuitive, and to be honest I really don't know how we survived before without this on the SX, but we just got along, didn't we? It's a really nice addition and I'm super glad this is now on the SP platform. I definitely couldn't live without this feature anymore. Okay, number 2 has to be the USB connectivity. Now apologies, my cables are a bit of a mess up here, but I do use the USB feature in order to record the audio for these videos. But more importantly, sampling to and from my computer is just an absolute godsend, being able to do it without an audio interface. Back on the SX and the A, we had to have a separate audio interface in order to get sounds to and from our computer. With the Mark II, you just plug in the USB and you're good to go. And for example, if you like working in a DAW like I do, I like making my beats in Ableton, I can send sounds to this device via USB, add effects and send them back via USB. The process of doing that is really simplified with this USB cable. And lastly as well, using only this, which is an adapter for my iPhone, so it's USB to iPhone, I'm able to record the sound directly to my phone while I'm filming, so I can record beats basically anywhere that I want to. So the USB integration really was a hugely useful addition, and yeah, going back to a device without that now, that just feels impossible. So really glad that we've got that, and I definitely couldn't live without it anymore. Okay, point number 3 has to be the visible waveform editing, and in combination with that, the 0 crosspoint snapping that we get as well. So we can go into any sample now, go to start and end, we can look at the waveform, we can analyze the waveform visually, we can zoom right in to 11 times. So it just means we can get little things like the start points really dead on. We can use the crosspoint feature as well. Here we go, you just snap it on and that will automatically skip to the nearest crosspoint, which is really handy. It means you don't get those little crackles and little artifacts at the start of your samples or at the end as well. That was a common thing on the SX and the A because it's really hard to find those 0 crosspoints without having a visual editor like this. I know a lot of you kind of preferred the way of working with the SX because it really forces you to use your ears, which is good to an extent I think, but for little technical things like this, like cutting off dead noise at the start of your samples, things like that, the screen is an absolute godsend and I love using it. Having the visual start and end points like this as well, seeing how much of the sample you've cut off. The whole experience with the updated screen is really nice. And yeah, for me going back to the SX after this and not being able to do that, definitely a huge loss. So I'm really glad that's on this device as well. And again, definitely a feature that I can't live without anymore. Okay, last but by no means least is the SD card, and in particular the importing. Now, I really like the way that this works on the Mark II, especially in comparison to the SX. On the SX, it was really clunky, the workflow. Essentially what you had to do is stuff a load of samples into an import folder on your computer, and then you did the functionality to import those samples on the SX, and it automatically just put them across all the pads. So everything that was in that folder, it would get dumped onto your SP. With the Mark II, things are a lot more intuitive. We can go to Shift and 14. We have the option to do import, export, format. We're going to import here. We're going to choose sample, and you can browse through all the folders that you've organized. It just makes organizing your samples so much easier, and it just means you've got this kind of mobile library with you at all times as well. So I can go into SP Vids, and these are all my sample packs, and these are available on my shop, spvids.com. If you wanted to support what I'm doing here, you can go and pick those up using the links in the description below. So I've got Lo-Fi Drums 1 to 5 here. I could go into, say, Lo-Fi Drums Volume 4. I can look at bass notes, hi-hats, kicks, percussion snares, Vox samples. I can hear the sounds before I import them, and I can go ahead and put any of those onto the pads on the SP that I want to. It's such a better experience than we had on the SX and the A, and I really could not think of a workflow without having this option anymore. So there we go, guys, 4 features of the SP404 Mark II that I definitely couldn't live without now. I couldn't go back to a different workflow. I just have to have these features on an SP device in order to be able to happily make beats. Now, I'm sure there's loads of others which I haven't included in this list, which I take for granted now. If you have any that stick out in particular, which you definitely couldn't live without, please leave a comment below. I'd love to read what yours are. But apart from that, guys, keep making beats. I'll hopefully be back with more content very soon.